Today's speaker is a lot of fun. I've had a good time getting to know Melissa well over the last few weeks, and I'm confident you're really going to enjoy her today. Melissa, as I mentioned, is our International Director for Region 6, and today she is going to be presenting on some important qualities of how to apply your Toastmasters experience to your business and your life, something I think is really relevant to all of us. Melissa and Toastmaster attendees, are you maximizing your Toastmaster path? Did you join forever ago and wonder what you do next? Are you unsure of how to showcase what you've accomplished? If you're someone that likes to squeeze every drop out of life and Toastmasters, grab something now to take notes. This morning's presentation is all about how to translate your Toastmasters experience into building a better you in your professional and personal life. Our speaker is zooming in from near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the United States. Professionally, Melissa has a background in corporate sales and executive recruiting. She works with mid-career professionals to polish their soft skills and create a personal brand to prevent their resume from landing in the pile of also ran applicants by enabling them to stand out as the most promotable candidate. With business owners, she helps them create a brand that gets attention and results. If you bump into her traveling, she's the one taking way too many photographs of nature and interesting architecture while searching for unique antiques. As a dog mom of two, she knows, one, not to run out of treats, and two, exactly who runs the house. At the Toastmaster International Convention in August 2020, she was elected to serve as the International Director from Region 6. The region includes Ontario, as well as all or part of 9 US states. As a member of the board, Melissa reads governing documents for the fun of it. Well, maybe not for the fun of it, but she does read those. For fun, she reads things like the Harvard Business Review and random home decorating articles. Please join me as we welcome International Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Melissa McGavick, as she shares with us her speech, Build a Better You.
I am so thankful for everyone who has invested in my personal growth. Imagine what we could accomplish if each of us poured ourselves into helping someone else become the best version of themselves. We each join Toastmasters for different reasons. For some of us, it's public speaking, others, leadership, while other people might be here because they just want a social life or they need to develop their public speaking or their confidence. Madam Program Quality Director, fellow Toastmasters, each one of us joins for our own specific reason. Typically, it's something to better ourselves, but eventually we turn our attention and our focus from me to we, where we start to look at how can I develop other people and help them become the best version of themselves. When I consider how much I have spent in education, whether it be my time or money, it's amazing to see how much I've grown in Toastmasters in comparison to other programs. Outside of Toastmasters, I attended university like many of you have, as well as when I was in sales, I'd gone through 15 different sales training programs. I've also invested in other programs and publishing books or how to put on a presentation, even outside of Toastmasters. But this flexibility has been amazing. And for the cost of $7.50 US, which is about $10 Canadian, it's amazing how we can grow, how we can do better. When I first joined Toastmasters, I only joined because I needed to polish up my public speaking skills. I was starting a new business and I knew that I was going to have to present, and I knew I could get myself booked, but was I good enough for an organization to want to have me back again? Were they going to refer me? Are they thinking, wow, she's good enough. I would put my name on referring her out to a friend or colleague. Now, I figured that would take about 6 months. I'd get in, get what I needed, and get out. That was about 17 years ago. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning how to become a better leader. There's over 300 core competencies in Toastmasters, and I haven't gotten them all yet. So as I consider what my first initial thing to join Toastmasters for, which was to help everybody in the seats have a great experience, it's become so much more. And I think you'll find that it becomes so much more for you as well. Beyond our path, one of the things that I've noticed is when we get to the end of the path, there's still another road. There's still other paths to run down, other paths to pursue. And today we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do in Toastmasters that are beyond the public speaking and leadership development piece that we typically talk about when we talk about Toastmasters. I think the Toastmasters opens doors. When I first became a Toastmaster, I had the opportunity to meet a woman who had lived on the other side of the country before becoming a Toastmaster. You see, whenever she was at work one day, it was just before she was going to go on holiday. As she was getting ready, her boss said, oh, by the way, when you come back, I'm going to have you present to one of our clients. This was terrifying. One of the things that she absolutely hated the thought of doing was speaking in public. As she went on her vacation, this really started to play with her mind. So while she was on vacation, she looked at an apartment in that city and rented an apartment. When she came home, she gave her boss her 2 weeks notice. Yes, she quit her job because she didn't want to give that presentation. She moved across country, moved into her new apartment, found a new job in the same industry, thinking she was safe. It was not too long after that that her new boss asked her to present. She stopped and she thought, I can't quit my job again because I don't want to do a presentation. I just moved here. And some friends recommended to her Toastmasters. When she became a Toastmaster, she was definitely uncomfortable. But what I find so humorous in a twist of events is that a couple of years later, she did quit her job again. And it was about a presentation. But it wasn't because her boss was asking her to present. It was because she had published her first book and she was now becoming a professional public speaker. Now, I won't say that most of us will go quit our jobs and move across the country for a public speaking, either avoiding it or because you're going to become a professional speaker. Most of us are happy to stay in our lives, but just want to be more comfortable in this environment. But Toastmasters definitely is a way to open doors in our lives. I used to be an executive recruiter, and we saw people all the time who started to blend in. As an executive recruiter, we would place an ad for a new job available. Maybe I'd do that at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. I'd come in the next morning and there would be over 300 applications for a job. After a while, the resumes all start to look alike. They have the same education on them. They have similar jobs that people have served in. If you're looking at a job in technology and you need to have security or some type of specific software availability, everybody who applies for that job is most likely going to have that. So how do you differentiate yourself? It's typically the soft skills. As we would narrow those 300 applicants down to maybe 10 or 15. Those first applications and those first interviews would be pretty much narrowing people down to 3 or 4 that would be sent on to the company to be interviewed. Out of those 3 or 4, quite often, the hiring manager would call me back and say, I really can't make a decision between candidate A and candidate B. They look so much alike. But then it would go to the soft skills. What type of leadership skills did they show on their previous experience? What happened outside of the walls of their office? How well did they communicate? How well did they get along with others? So Toastmasters helps us to develop many different skills. The first one I think is so important is how to develop the most polished presentation of yourself. How do you give a great first impression? In our traditional Toastmasters clubs, we often talk about not leaving the lectern and not leaving it empty, making sure to shake hands for every time somebody exchanges the front of the room. But in today's environment, first impressions look a little different. It's how well do you do this? How are your lights? Do you interact with the camera well? How do you use the chat effectively to communicate with your peers? All of these first impressions are things that are side benefits of being a member of Toastmasters. You get to develop and practice these skills. Often you've heard the phrase, practice makes perfect. I think practice makes permanent. When you start to practice these skills, they become second nature to you. And then you don't have to worry about them and you can focus more on the connection of face-to-face interaction. When you're in Toastmasters, another thing that you get to do is practice a lot. Oftentimes people write one speech and they only give it once. However, repetition and practicing a specific skill helps us to develop skills that are stronger in the long run, not just a one-time presentation. For example, take a look at our competitors. Tomorrow here at the District 60 conference is going to be the International Speech Contest. The speech contest UNIC looks a lot different now than it would have had we done this 3 or 4 months ago, because the contestants have practiced those presentations over and over and over again. I know the year that I served as district director, the gentleman who was a representative from our district here in Pittsburgh had done that presentation so many times. I had personally seen about 32, no joke, 32 different renditions of the same speech. Well, that's a skill that actually helps in work environments. If you have to ask for money because you have to ask for funding for a particular project, maybe you want to take a look at which projects and pathways would help you with your persuasive speaking. Or maybe you have to give technical presentations. Each one of those projects can be translated typically to the outside world. So if you look at your job and your life and other ways that you serve, how can those Toastmasters projects help you to develop a stronger version of yourself? Toastmasters is also about lifelong learning. One of the things that I find so incredible is we come in for public speaking and leadership development, but we learn so much else. I have learned about history and cooking and photography, not because I was studying it, but because someone in the club that I serve with was studying it. I've learned in 5 to 7 minute snippets over 17 years. That's an amazing amount of information that's all tucked away in my brain somewhere. What that also does is help you to become more well-rounded as a person because you can speak to different topics because you've learned them from your peers. But lifelong learning also includes things like storytelling. If you're learning storytelling, quite often we think about it in the business sense. Storytelling helping you to understand our organization, maybe to forward a project. But storytelling can also be a grandparent learning how to spin the best tales to tell their grandchildren, or something like technical presentations might be not just how to do something at work, but how to make the best gnocchi, and teaching that to your children, your nieces, your nephews, helping to pass on family traditions. Storytelling and technical presentations also fit into things like being the family historian. So lifelong learning impacts us well beyond what our current expectations of what lifelong learning means in Toastmasters. This little slice under the microscope of a pine tree shows lots of little teeny tiny cells, as well as some bigger areas where the xylem flows through. That reminds me a lot of Toastmasters and our core competencies. With over 300 core competencies that make up the organizational program called Pathways, there are lots of little things that help develop and grow you as a member and our organization. The 5 core competencies are kind of like those bigger areas in the tree trunk that allows our other core competencies to flow. There's public speaking, interpersonal communication, and confidence, as well as that strategic leadership and management. Depending on what pathway that you choose, this could look a little different for each one of us. I find that on occasion, there's a member or two that only want to speak. They just want to practice their public speaking skills and they don't want to do anything else. I feel this is shortchanging ourselves, because setting ourselves up to be the best speaker and communicator also means developing our skills around speaking. The best public speakers, the ones that are crushing it in speech competitions or pursuing things like the accredited speaker, I find the people who are doing those things are quite often the absolute best evaluators. So think about the role that you might be avoiding. What role is something that maybe scares you a little bit and is something that maybe you would like to try to do a little better? To set a role goal, I recommend trying to do a role goal every year. Try to do at least 2 of the roles in Toastmasters. That means timer, grammarian, evaluator, Toastmaster, table topics master. By serving in all of those roles, you'll develop your skills in public speaking and leadership as well. Those things are also skills that will translate out to the real world. Now, rounding out your resume is something I probably didn't expect when I came into Toastmasters. Whenever, as I mentioned, as an executive recruiter, we're trying to develop or trying to find people who are more well-developed, not just a single track of mind, but if you're moving into executive level positions, you need to be more well-rounded and be able to see the world from different viewpoints. Toastmasters has allowed people to develop those resumes and expand their capacity to serve. Now, another part of Toastmasters is the network. Our friends in our club become friends in our area, our division, our district, regionally, nationally, internationally. Your friends in Toastmasters can open up a world of opportunities to you. Think about where you can network. Today, there are people attending the same conference. Reaching out to them, inviting them to connect with you on LinkedIn and Facebook and in person. As our world grows, as our world grows to be more global, which has definitely happened over the last year, our network gets bigger and bigger, and our world gets smaller and smaller. in the idea that we can reach around the globe. I know through this, I originally started in just my club and now have met people on the other side of the world. When I've traveled to other countries and been able to visit clubs in those countries and connect with those people online, continuing, and also seeing them at international convention. But whenever you meet people, one of the things they often ask is, well, what do you do? It might be about your job, and in Toastmasters, it might be about the role that you serve in. So here's a personal branding statement that I used when explaining what is it that I did when I was serving as a region advisor. So as a region advisor, I help district leaders to develop their advanced leadership skills through training, coaching, and mentoring so that they can grow their districts, resulting in more people benefiting from the Toastmasters program. Now, each one of you does something in your club, at work, and I'd like you to take a minute to think about how is it that you serve others in your Toastmasters club or in your work. So in the chat, I'm going to ask you to get those fingers ready. And I want you to answer in the chat for us, who do you help? It could be somebody at work. Is it somebody at ABC Company? Is it people in Toastmasters? If you volunteer, is it someone in your nonprofit organization that you serve in? So in the chat, go ahead and post just who you help. See myself, board members, new sales reps, new members, family, project colleagues, I assist team members, my peers, sales reps, potential leaders, pharmacists, clients, coworkers, families, friends, my Toastmasters club, stakeholders. Wonderful. These are all people you help. And I would like you to now think about, what is it you help them to do? Is it developing their leadership skills? Is it through customer service? How do you help them to be able to enjoy the products of the company more effectively? Recognize their own potential. I encourage them. I help my family, friends, and colleagues to be the best they can be. What other things do you help them do? Anybody else answer in the chat? Grow in experience and confidence to perform the role that I have someday. That's wonderful. Knowledge translation, navigate their first year, learn new technical skills, all great things that you're helping them do. And how do you do that? Do you do it through training? Do you do it through conversations, through mentoring, through creating a particular product? So looking to see, through virtual, through speeches, through all of the above. Power of communication, understanding the process, hard work and dedication. We do this through Zoom. Yes, absolutely. Help their kids learn life skills. And that is moving way too fast for me to catch up with all of those. But mentoring, communication, employer circle, springboard program, great. Now, what are the results that those things bring? So by you helping this particular group of people to do what it is that you help them to do through the processes that you help them to do, what happens? They build confidence, strong community. Our organization is stronger. They blossom. I make them money. Oh, I like that one. By answering questions about school and referring them to service so they can look up to me. Okay, confidence, results, they grow trust. They land interviews and jobs. Personal growth and respect. They can advance at work, can perform high level so I can focus on more strategic matters. Yes, so many things here. So that talks a little bit, that is your personal brand statement. So when somebody asks you, what do you do? It's a great way of being able to open conversation rather than just, well, my title is X. whether it's an engineer or a teacher, by having one set word, maybe you think that encapsulates it, but does it include them in the conversation? So a personal branding statement can also be used for your club. And some of you have specialized clubs. Some of you, your clubs are the standard Toastmasters program, and you haven't thought about how do you specialize. But I think every club has a special personality, and they help people to do a specific thing. Of course, we embrace the entire Toastmasters program, but maybe in your club, you help a particular subset of our members. So in the chat, tell me who your club helps. Is it Francophiles? Is it someone who's trying to become a professional speaker? Is it someone who's developing their leadership skills? Who do you think your club helps? Business professionals, workshop presenters, great. Immigrants to Canada, anyone who wants to improve, people with disabilities. As you see, clubs have very different areas of expertise. Then, as we help that particular group, what do we help them to do? So go ahead in the chat. What do you help them do? This is Toastmasters. So we help everybody to be able to communicate more effective, to learn on the spot, to know their strengths, develop skills they identify, energized first thing in the morning. Great. And how do you do that? How do we help them, the people we help to be able to accomplish what it is they do? How do we help them? Through mentorship, encourage and teach, mentoring, by running great meetings, providing a safe practice, a sense of gratitude, appreciation for what they have, engage, connect, interact, involve through mentorship, constructive feedback. Again, keep those coming. That's great. So we help a particular group of people to do a specific thing through what it is that we do as a Toastmasters Club, so that what is the result by being a member of your club? What do they do? What do they get from being a member of your personal Toastmasters Club? They can be a force to be good in the world, gain confidence, to become happier. Yes, Toastmasters are pretty happy people. I've actually had to explain that to hotels before. They're like, wow, you guys are all so happy. Increased confidence and comfort. Accomplish and surpass their personal goals so they can elevate their quality of life. Competence, exactly. So at the time, at the bottom of your chat, there's a little spot that says, that has 3 dots and it has save chat. As we go through here, you all may want to save those chats so you can take a look back at the personal brand statement. And maybe there's something that you can borrow that was put into those particular answers, and you can involve that in creating the personal brand statement for your club. Now, when you are when you are a club officer in your club, you can add additional skills to your resume, rounding out your resume by sharing what skills you've learned. By putting this on your LinkedIn profile, it's almost like an advertisement for Toastmasters. When somebody comes on and sees your skills that you've developed in Toastmasters on your LinkedIn profile, people who have recently met you and are looking to connect might be interested in checking out your club. So not only are you highlighting yourself, you're highlighting what it is your club does. Now, in the chat later here today, or actually I'll pass this along to Chris and she can pass it along to you. Chris and Anita will have this. It is a document that is an example like this on every single club office position. So you can translate what your job is to the leadership skills developed, so you can highlight them on your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, and other profiles that you have online. As a Toastmaster, I encourage you, as you are creating these LinkedIn profiles, online profiles, wherever they are, that you consider raising the bar. And when I say the bar, I don't mean the ballet bar this particular time, but it is where you can show how you shined in your performance. BAR stands for badges, awards, and roles. By highlighting the badges that you've earned in our Pathways program, the awards you may have been recognized with in your club or your district, and the roles that you've served, by highlighting those, you'll shine and stand out from other candidates, whether it's on your resume or other profiles. Now, here happens to be a little bit of information on your district director, Wendy. I noticed Wendy did a wonderful job of including her Toastmasters experience on her LinkedIn profile. And she's also has specific recommendations, and some of them are from members who are Toastmasters. Using this also highlights not just Wendy's skills, but the skills that someone can learn within Toastmasters. Making sure to use all of the availability of a LinkedIn profile, making sure that you ask your customers, your peers, your colleagues, your audience members, your club members, and other fellow district Toastmasters to include recommendations for you. Now, recommendations take a little time to write. And think about, when you're writing it, how would you best highlight this person's skills and that they would want to have that on their LinkedIn profile. Now, if you don't have time to write a recommendation, another thing that you can do is just give somebody a thumbs up, a like. Now, in Facebook, we like some people, it's because they like the post. Some people, it's just because they're acknowledging they saw the post. In a LinkedIn profile, it is very much that you are giving somebody kudos for having specific skills. There's an area called skills and endorsements. And this is an area where you can ask people to just recognize what it is that they think that you do well. You don't have to accept everything that somebody says that you're skilled in, and you're going to want to probably narrow it down to the ones that most are relevant to you and your particular goals. But don't forget about that skills and endorsement area. Go out and find your fellow Toastmasters, find what their profiles are, and take the time to give them the kudos that they deserve for their skills and endorsements. And then when somebody does that for you, return the favor. Now, how do you network? Toastmasters gives you such an opportunity, not just locally or in your area, your division, your district, but you can take a look at regionally. Now, our region happens to be in Ontario, goes to Tennessee, covers everything in between, a little bit of half of Pennsylvania, all of Indiana. There's pieces and parts of many US states and Ontario there, but then take a look at beyond that nationally. If you go closer to Region 9, you're going to have Quebec. Go across the country of Canada as well as the US, connect with people. You can do that so easily today by visiting Toastmasters clubs and then inviting people to connect with you on social media profiles across the globe easily, because you've met them on your visits to clubs. Now that we are all online and hybrid, it gives us the opportunity to kind of travel the world from the chair in my basement. So when you make the invitation, don't just send the invitation to connect as click connect, but make a little personal note to the person as to where they met you. So for example, I would love to see when I get into my LinkedIn profile to say, hey, Melissa, I saw you at the District 86 conference on Saturday. Love to connect here. That's a great way to start developing your network, and people know why or how they met you. When they get into their profile, if they don't go in quite often all the time, they might think, how do I know this person? But by putting that little personalized piece, you'll help them to connect with you. Now, translate your success outside of Toastmasters in a way that your peers and your work can understand. Quite often we have people who surround us at work, or our bosses, even our supervisors, might not really understand what it is you're doing. So translating the success for them and helping them to understand that I am putting in my personal time into developing myself as a speaker and as a leader so I can serve you more effectively at work. Ask if you can have it put into your yearly career goals. I know one company who has put it into their yearly career goals for employees that they complete 3 speeches in Toastmasters. They serve in at least 3 of the leadership roles like timer, grammarian, a couple of times a year. And also that they invite or introduce peers to Toastmasters, like introducing 2 of their peers at work to Toastmasters every quarter. So translate your Toastmasters success into work success and make sure that way that they understand what it is that you're doing and how it improves your performance at work. Now, tackling table topics. Of course, we all have this love eventually of table topics, or at least I hope so. As I say that, I kind of think to myself about a dear friend of mine who, when he joined Toastmasters about 20 years ago, his first table topic was 15 seconds long. He was in a sweat, panicking, and could feel his heart in his throat. Now, this same gentleman has been the district speech contest winner at the international level he's been our representative to the international speech contest. He's also 4 times been the district winner for the humorous speaking contest. Now, to take someone who is terrified and literally was sweating in 15 seconds on a table topic and then being able to master that, he's developed his skills here. He now does improv and is helping other people to tackle their fears of public speaking. So tackling those fears has impacted his career and others that I know their career outside of Toastmasters. Now, mastering media opportunities is something that not all of us will choose to do, but it's definitely something that you can do outside of Toastmasters using your Toastmaster skills. Now, some people will be in a position where they have to answer for a company as a public relations representative for an organization. However, others might choose to write a book, do a blog, a vlog. I even know a couple of Toastmasters who have turned their Toastmaster experience into local television shows. I don't mean just being a guest, I mean being a host. It's amazing to see how people have used their Toastmaster skills, what they learned in table topics and learned in the projects prior in the old public relations manuals, as well as now serving in your club as a vice president of public relations, serving your district on your public relations team. Having the opportunity to develop these skills helps you to be better outside of our organization, representing our organization when you're out in the community. Now, cross-pollinating your skills from Toastmasters outside and from outside into Toastmasters. Cross-pollinating your skills into serving in the community. You might be serving on a board of directors. You might be working in a food bank. You may be working at your child's school as a volunteer. All of those areas, you'll develop those skills. You can bring them into Toastmasters and vice versa. Whether it is organizations like Rotary, which has now developed a relationship with Toastmasters, or other organizations like Seroptimists, Lions, Kiwanis, Moose. All of these organizations need leaders within their organizations. And when you serve in those organizations, you represent Toastmasters. A friend of mine in Toastmasters who I saw develop and grow from the time she joined, becoming a club officer, a district leader, and now she has run programs for the entire city of Pittsburgh schools and the city of Pittsburgh in helping with youth leadership. She has been on local television and runs community organizations. One of the things that she tells me all the time is she gets to represent Toastmasters and share what she's learned, because people come to her talking about how wonderful it has been to have someone who knows how to run a meeting effectively, who can keep things on task, who understands how to run projects and get things to completion. Another benefit of Toastmasters membership is goal accountability. I know whenever I was moving through my first DTM, there was a gentleman who was about the same space as I was in number of speeches we had given, and we challenged each other to complete our Distinguished Toastmasters. And it was very much almost a race. I did a speech, he did a speech, I did another speech, going back and forth. But also I've seen people use accountability in their Toastmasters clubs where they start talking about a project, whether it has been weight loss and fitness, whether it has been writing a book, whether it's getting a new job. They have used their Toastmasters organization, their group, their club to be a place where people hold them accountable to their goals. They create their speeches about that topic, share updates, and develop friendships and mentoring that has kept them on task and on target. I know at least 3 people who've joined Toastmasters to become more effective in leading worship and leading study groups for their faith. Now, that might be not what people think of with Toastmasters, but all 3 of them happen to be of 3 different faiths who have all used this as a way to develop their skills, to be more comfortable teaching, leading, reading out loud. And we all do that back at our clubs. That's how we learn this. This is members of my personal home club, and we like to have fun together. And that is the way that you develop these relationships, is outside of Toastmasters official meeting, is do you stay in contact? Do you have fun together? What types of activities do you do? How do you become friends? How do you become colleagues? We do some different things. There are people in our group who have a smaller group in ours called the Disco Divas. They go out and go dancing when it pre-pandemic, and other ones that would spend Friday nights going to sport shooting facilities and shooting. Others that walk together and get in their exercise. They hold each other accountable for achieving goals outside of the organization and make sure that they are mentoring each other in more than just their Toastmasters skills. This was a few weeks ago at our club contest, and as you can see, we're doing hybrid. I understand every part of the world is a little different. Some places are more locked down, some are hybrid. We've been opened and closed a couple of times here, but this was a speech contest. You can see the one lady had her mask off. She was answering the question. She was being interviewed as one of the speakers in the contest. But as we are moving forward, this is an additional skill that you can develop. And because the world is always going to be a little different now. I very much doubt that things will ever go back to quite the way they were at work and in every environment. This hybrid is going to be where things go in the future. So how do we embrace this? Toastmasters is the perfect place to master it. You know, this is a way that we can develop skills that will help others to be able to communicate better in this new way of being. But reaching out, becoming friends, breaking bread, enjoying each other's company outside of the organization helps us to be able to be a better, more well-rounded human, as well as connect with people so we maintain our club membership. As I mentioned at the beginning, each of us has our own reason for joining Toastmasters. We all have different goals. It might be the communication, it might be leadership, it might be the social life. And it's always developing our confidence a little bit, brick by brick. These happen to be members of our Toastmasters Club. We created our My Whys and then posted it on here. I do have to say my club has benefited from snagging one of the members from District 60, Raul Bagul. He is a member of my home club now. However, we are also currently exporting this week one of our members also to District 60. So it seems like you and I are in an exchange of club members. But one of the things as you are developing yourself, if we focus not so much on the me, but the we, and helping each other to develop their best skills. In the process, we can't help but becoming better ourselves, where we build a better self, a better world through a better Toastmasters. As we each move together towards tomorrow, let's build a better you. Madam Vice, or Madam Toastmaster.